Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we are going to review Days of Heroes D-Day, a game released on the Steam Store March 11th, 2021 by developer Zen App Studio. It's available for the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. It normally retails for $14.99. I actually got this through Viveport Infinity as a subscriber. I tested this game out on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable. Days of Heroes D-Day VR is a World War II shooter low polygon world, and it's different than most shooters in VR because it's not your typical wave shooter or just simple wave shooter where enemies just come straight at you and just keep mowing them down. This actually has a little bit of a story, not so much in the text or with voiceovers, but just with the scenes. You know, you have different objectives as you go along, and the scenes are connected to each other, so it's pretty different than most VR shooters. You'll be storming the beaches of Normandy, you'll be escaping from prison, you'll be on the back of a Jeep, drive-by style, you'll be fortifying defenses at a church, you'll be using anti-aircraft guns to bring down airplanes in the sky, you'll pick up bazookas and RPGs and light machine guns, and yeah, basically you go through a pretty epic World War II campaign. The whole game took me approximately a little over 3.5 hours to complete, and there was enough variation here to keep me interested throughout the campaign. And that is the best part of this game. It's just the different scenes, the different objectives, and it has a nice pacing to it. However, I do have to say the actual core gameplay wasn't all that great. Weapons don't feel great to fire. The enemy AI is not very smart. There's some nice set scenes and some interesting game design that really makes this game better than what it really is. But at the end of the day, the enemy AI is just pretty dumb, and the weapons just don't feel satisfying to fire, and the gameplay is a little basic. Days of Heroes D-Day is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting a steady 90 frames per second. I did not experience any serious bugs or crashes. However, I did experience a bug where basically the game stopped me from moving forward in the map. A quick quit and restart though did fix the issue for me, and I was able to progress. That only happened on one map during my whole gameplay, so as far as bugs, I really didn't experience too many. As far as settings, you do have different graphical settings. However, I really didn't notice that much difference between the low and the ultra. It ran on ultra fine on my RTX 3080. You do have full locomotion and snap turning available in this game. The interactions are simple. As far as your equipment, you have little slots on your body where you can put weapons and health packs in set predetermined areas. It worked for the most part, although I did have trouble holstering some of the weapons at times or some of the equipment. That's one thing that can be improved immensely in this game. It's just the whole process of holstering your weapons or your item pickups. You can pick up grenades, you can pick up health packs, and you can actually pick up some weapons as well, including bazookas or light machine guns. There are sections where you're actually picking up items to fortify the base that you're protecting for some sections of this game. That's basically just point and click though, where you're picking up the item and just placing it in the predetermined spot for the item. As far as weapon handling, it's very arcade-like. You can basically one-hand almost every weapon. I think the sniper rifle is the only one that you really have to two-hand, and then you have like a slow motion effect while you're aiming down sights. Although if you just one-hand it, you can just skip the time slow mechanic and just snipe with one hand, and that works fine as well. Aiming down scope is fine, and aiming down sights for weapons is fine. So as far as weapon accuracy in this game, that's pretty good. However, the weapon handling itself is pretty poor. The reloads are a little on the clunky side, especially the handgun. The handgun might actually be the worst one to reload. You kind of have to physically take out the magazine and then put one in, and then just kind of float your hand above the gun and then slide it back. You don't actually touch the handgun. Again, that's just a little clunky there. That can be really polished up to give it a better feel. The good thing about the weapons though is that they all feel different to fire. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, although handguns overall are pretty weak and you probably shouldn't use them at any point. And the sniper rifle, while it's very powerful, it's just too slow, so you're always trying to go for the automatic fire weapons. And that goes back to the handling. Since you can one-hand the automatic fire weapons and they're pretty accurate, there's no reason to be using any of the other weapons. But again, they do feel different and they do have different strengths and weaknesses, but overall the automatic fire weapons are just pretty strong overall. And the downside to using up a lot of ammo just isn't a big deal since you have an endless supply of ammunition. I have have played lots of VR games where the low polygon art style just really works and makes the game look beautiful, but in those games that I have played where it looks really beautiful, the worlds themselves were very detailed. And not that the worlds here are low detail or that there wasn't a lot of work done in the different maps. They look okay, they just don't look great. And so overall I would say the visuals here are not as top notch as I would have liked, even for a low polygon art style game. I will say though that certain scenes are pretty epic. When you're storming the beaches of Normandy, that looks really good. When you're marching behind the tank and getting into the trench warfare, that also looks pretty epic. But overall, just a little too generic, and the core gameplay loop here is pretty generic as well. For most of the gameplay, you're just running from point A to point B and just killing enemies, and you're killing lots of them, and you do feel overpowered, and there's just not much challenge here. I played this game on normal difficulty and it just wasn't good enough. Maybe I should have gone for the hardest difficulty, but on normal it just wasn't challenging enough, and there really wasn't much strategy here. You just basically keep reloading behind cover and just shoot the enemies one by one, and basically just keep moving forward. You'll eventually get to the end of the map, and some of the maps just ended when I got to the farthest point, not necessarily when I killed all the enemies on screen. But like I said, there was enough variation here to keep things interesting, and you're going from scene to scene and you're just wondering what will happen next. You escape from a prison, you drive off on the back of a jeep, you use rocket propelled grenades to bring down tanks in a pretty epic scenes. The sound work for me was just okay for this type of game. It's only a $15 game, so I'm really not expecting top-notch visuals or sound design. It was functional, it worked. The music though was and the sounds were just a little on the subpar side. However, overall as a total package, especially at this price, I can say I do recommend this game. I did have fun playing it. There was enough variation here to keep me interested and invested in the story. I honestly wanted to see what would happen next, because it seemed like there was just one epic scene, one crazy scene after another, and for the most part it did keep my interest. I was honestly very surprised by this game. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but it definitely has some serious issues just as far as the core gameplay being pretty bland and the maps here just not having the most interesting design. Although like I said, this game does have some pretty epic moments that keep you interested enough to want to see the whole campaign through. So if I have to rate this game, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's a solid game. I think you are getting a good amount of content for the price, and it's pretty quality for the most part. This isn't the best shooter. If you're expecting a great shooter, you're going to be sorely disappointed, but for the budget price of $15, I think there's enough here that I can recommend it. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you liked my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video. Goodbye.